Don't forget the doc. Several network participants recently called into Dr. Rick Wright's Old School Sundays radio show. Check this out.
The new decade. John Kellogg, Esquire, Assistant Director of the Berklee School of Music in Boston, Massachusetts. Hey, John, performance rights tax, huh?
Oh, yeah, Doc. That's what we're going to talk about today. How you doing, Doc? All right?
Everything is kicking, man. I've been sitting back here studying and trying to do some research and writing about radio, man, and the direction that we need to take radio broadcasting, man. And I'm telling you, I was checking out Bob Davis's website the other day and listening to a online internet radio show about the plight of African-American or black or urban radio, man. And hey, a big horror story happened in Pittsburgh, man. WAMO, Whammo. Legendary heritage.
What happened?
Urban radio station. Soul, man. And they didn't tell anybody the station was sold in the middle of the day, man. It was sold to I'm sure a dynamite organization, a religious organization. But Whammo, man, has like a half century of historical legacy, man, in the world of urban and R&B radio, man.
Well, you know, I'm from the Midwest, Doc, so that really resonates with me because I remember hearing about Whammo from years ago in Pittsburgh. I'm from Cleveland, as you know. So you're right, it's a very historic station, and I hope that they will keep the R&B format. You know, that's the thing that's of concern to everyone in this industry as to where it's going. As a matter of fact, I was just quoted in an article in Ebony Magazine called Is Black Music Dead? You might want to check that out. That's in Jada Pinkett's on the cover. And we're dealing with a lot of those issues, including the performance rights bill, which is what we're going to talk about today.
Oh, John, educate us, man. We stand in the need of musical education this afternoon.
All right. Well, here's your biz report for this week, a report on the business behind the music, because everybody knows somebody in the music business. Doc, as you know, the recent performance rights bill requiring traditional radio stations like Whammo and 106.9 to pay royalties to record companies and artists for the right to play their records on the radio was passed by Congress's Judiciary Committee last week. And what an uproar it caused, particularly on black radio. You know, I heard Michael Baisden's comments on your station earlier this week, and I'm compelled to comment as well. First, there's a lot of misunderstanding about who's getting paid what. So I think an explanation is in order. When a record is played on the radio, there are two copyright interests that are implicated. The first is the copyright in the composition, in essence, the melody and the lyrics, that is usually owned by the publisher and the songwriter. And the second is the copyright in the sound recording, or the fixation of sounds that make up the recording of the composition, that is the recording artist's rendition of the composition contained on the recording. Now, the owner of the sound recording copyright is usually the record company, who has an agreement to pay the recording artist royalties for various uses of the recording. For years, radio stations have only had to pay the publishers and songwriters of the songs or the compositions through annual payments to BMI, ASCAP, and CSAC, and not artists and record companies, the owners of the sound recordings. However, recently, record companies and artists pressured Congress to pass this new performance rights bill that will require radio stations to pay royalties for the use of copyrights in both the composition and the sound recording. If the bill is passed by Congress, artists and record companies would get paid every time their records are played on radio. Now, let's break this down to you by using the example of one of my former clients, the OJs. The OJs didn't write their biggest hits like Love Train and For the Love of Money. So when these songs are played on the radio, only songwriters, Kenny Gamble and Leon Huff, and their publishing company, Assorted Music, get paid royalties from radio stations through BMI or ASCAP. The OJs currently don't get any royalties because the owner of the sound recording copyrights in these recordings, Philadelphia International Records, aren't entitled to any royalties from radio stations. And that's really what this performance rights bill is all about, so that artists will get paid royalties when their songs are being played on radio stations. So if this bill passes, Philadelphia International Records and the OJs will finally get paid when their music gets played.
So the artists are going to get paid, but right now only the creators, the songwriters are getting paid, huh?
Only the songwriters are getting paid right now, and I understand radio stations being upset about this. They've only had to pay the songwriters, and now to have to pay an additional royalty to artists is going to be a little stressful for radio stations. However, this bill has a number of exceptions and really scaled payments for radio stations that aren't generating a lot of income. For